describe it and explain it a little, but they won't like it.
Hello. Welcome. So, well, that was weird. It showed Discord is one of the things I didn't bring up. Showed it for a second. All right, everybody. So, yeah, so I think I have this stuff, not really finished or set up, but there's still going to be some changes, but enough to see how it's working. Now, I've got some questions and I feel like explaining what's going on. So, um, one thing I had wanted to bring up, let's see, I'm going to do it. You won't see it at first. There we go. So, where do I find my analytics? What I was going to mention is why I'm doing this stream. Now, I've had a YouTube channel for I want to say 14 years. And, the first 5 years or something, we had, video replies, and, we were able to have the conversation with enough new people coming through to sort of help keep the thing going. And then a lot of, people you know, uh, just hanging around and keeping, providing sort of a framework for where the conversations all were. And that stopped when there was video replies, and I wanted to look at some sort of analytics that would tell me exactly what. I guess I could show you what I'm looking at. When my subscriptions leveled off. Many people have pointed out, why even make videos? You have more videos than subscribers, and it's like, well, you only get 300 or 100 views. It's like if I have a hobby of talking to other people and I show up and 100 people show up and just listen to me, and if you respond, I mean, it's hundreds more than you would have expected. Because the thing is, I have a way that I like to make money, programming, software engineering. And so this is different. This is because I really want to take part in the public dialogue. Like letters to the editor, or just, I'm the kind of person that talks to other people. I might, if somebody sits down next to me at a park bench and starts up a conversation, I'll be like, yeah, where are you from? And so I didn't monetize my video. Now, there was a time where I had enough viewers, since the channel's so old and the 3,000 subs is from, pretty long ago. They offered me the chance to become a partner. Then they just gave people like me partnership, and then they took it away later on. I never monetized. I didn't want to monetize. I think it interferes with the conversational part. YouTube became broadcast. It used to be crosscast, or like a message bus. It's like, I don't know if this metaphor people will get it, but like there's a thing called short wave radio, and people make these radios, and you can bounce the message off the atmosphere, and some guy in Idaho can be talking to somebody in Finland or something. We used to get, walkie-talkies. Sometimes you can plug into CB channels, or as you're driving along, other people have walkie-talkies as you pass them, and just talking to random strangers. And in a way, it's remote, so if the person is crazy, like usually the CB people were always a little bit weird, including us probably. Not that I had a CB, but you with some walkie-talkies. And it's interesting. Some of us like that. We provide the connection, right, between various groups of people, because not everybody just likes small talk. Small talk's great and all that, the weather, sports you're interested in, whatever, fine, do it. But some people at a party like to, talk philosophy or politics or what's going on or weird ideas or whatever we thought, get feedback. And the internet is just a total, like, high granularity, high, uh, just a lot of people basically that you can do it with. So it's great. So having, like if you start a YouTube channel and 0 people are watching it, that would suck. But to have a few dozen. Now the problem with YouTube, because of the video replies, was how people would get into the conversation and come and go and stuff. It's become stagnant, and yet there's still probably 100 people, I think, that I know that have collected into this conversation, and we're just here in this stagnant pool, and we want to be in a non-stagnant, flowing conversation, but the internet has stagnated for us. There isn't the service to replace it. And I used to be on bulletin boards and stuff, and I'll talk about in this new stream, Illusions Exist 2.0, more my own experiences with computing and network, because I'm thinking, how can I give back? But what I was going to try to look up is, like, how do you look up your number of subscriptions over time? So audience, subscribers -2. Can you just do forever, lifetime? Well, that's not doing the whole lifetime. Reach, what about that? Is that what we're talking about? Unique views. I wanted to see a chart of my just subscribers and when they leveled off at 3,000. I think it was around with the video responses, but I never had a lot of subscriber growth, and you don't need it. Yeah. So this brings me to the other thing. So now I'm switching over. The idea with these channels is I just want to say, hey, I want to talk to somebody. But the premise of the media now is that you're trying to make money, or at the very least you're trying to get a cult and things like this. And in spite of never having monetized my YouTube channel, people just sort of project it on you, of course, and then they have expectations like you should do it this way and that way, and it's like, no, I have a non-monetized videos in many senses. One, it's counterproductive to the purpose of just having the conversation, free speech, not for money speech, and also, I don't want to do the things that make it monetizable, where you say, hey, you should pay for this. Look at me working. No, I just want to express myself and listen to people's expressions of themselves. And so now, I'm giving into this. I'm broadcasting on Twitch, broadcasting here, and I'm giving into the idea of what I would call the Hythloday effect. And what do I have that it's like, hey, this is worth listening to. This is worth, you guys should listen to this. Now mind you, I'm still just here to collect ideas and things like that. But I'm also getting older, and so it's like, okay, I'll share. And plus, if people are going to challenge you, like you say, hey, I don't monetize my account, and they're like, yeah, this is all about self-promotion. And some people are like, why aren't you self-promoting better? And it's like, well, monetization, I don't think it's bad to have a profession to make money. People that make professional videos and produce them and stuff, or even if they don't, just and that they want that to be their profession, I think that's fine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying I don't need money. I just am saying I have a different profession. And this is my hobby. Some people farm for a living, some people garden as a hobby, right? So I'm still going to put out something unmonetizable in that sense. But I'm going to apply what I would call the this is all the Hythloday principle. So the Hythloday principle is that, here's the deal. I always thought, if anything, my approach was noble. I'm not trying to make money or anything like that. I don't want to be manipulative, but I am trying to challenge people so that they expand their thinking. But then again, I'm also not trying to get them to join like my club of my philosophy. And Hythloday was like your attitude and other people, less relevant people, but that are important. Everybody's relevant. That the idea that I'm just collecting people's attitude. I'm treating people like specimens, and that's not good. I used to post on Red State, conservative website, and one time they were teasing me because they knew I was liberal, but I was polite and nice, and I would ask them questions like, "What do you think of FDR and JFK and Theodore Roosevelt?" To conserve, just getting there. I want to know how they think, and you can't make it up. So, and they said I was like doing conservatives in the mist. In the mist. Is that right? Gorillas in the mist. Yeah, and conservatives. Yeah, like an anthropologist. And that is a lot of my interest in this, and it's honestly, that's it. Now, I do have my own opinion, so people then can feel like I think it's a noble thing. Like, hey, I'm just interested in your ideas. Other people don't care. Tell me. I'm interested. And then people want more. It's like, no, I want you to be willing to be a student of mine and believe those ideas. And they can feel like they're being treated like a specimen because I'm taking your ideas and I'm putting them, I'm an attitude collector and I put them in my attitude museum, and I'm not really shopping for new attitudes from you guys. I build my own attitudes. That's another part of this, a related hobby. So the Hythloday principle is that, hey, this is true, and you should help a brother out. When you see somebody is wrong, and it hurts their life, right? Because they're wrong and it's hurting them, because they want to be right, and you should tell them how to be right. Now, I think, oh, hey, I'm being noble. I'm respecting your right to be totally wrong. But, I thought he had a point. And, a point I don't totally agree with, but see, I can take a point I don't agree with seriously as like, oops. So with the Hythloday principle, what do I have to share that's of value in that sense, even though I'm still going to just, talk about things, watch video, whatever I want to do. This is to trigger conversation is the most I'm really going to try. But I can try a little harder, actually. I always thought up topics and stuff, so it's not actually going to be harder, but a little different to how can I help a sister out? What do people need to know? People have black and white thinking. They use bad metaphors. They don't know history. That's helpful. Like people in Afghanistan situation, they don't seem to realize that the people we're fighting now in the Taliban is the same organization of people we funded when the Russians were in Afghanistan. They just don't know things like might be useful. Now, again, I would, in the past, just point that out, make of it what you will. And now I'm going to be a little more obvious of like, and that means it's a total bullshit situation. and we have to get out of it. And our fantasies that we're doing some sort of human rights thing over there while we killed a 250,000 people, we should just sort that out on our own time and stop trying to help, because it wasn't working. And we've known that for a long time. There's a lot of evidence, the Afghani papers, and it's a known thing. And if you haven't heard of it, well, I can help a sister and brother out and tell you that. And your bad metaphors, the winner-loserism, the black and white, if things are one way or another. Everybody knows things are gray when it's someone they know. Oh, John went to jail for stealing, but really he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or whatever. They see the gray, or he's not all bad. They see the gray, you know, everybody knows that. But they don't apply these principles that everyone knows, like things are not black and white. To other people, it's like simple compression. So they don't have to think very much about what's going on. A person's good or they're bad. They're trying to make money or they're not. And what I'm saying is I'm open to money. I don't want to be like some sort of purist, like that's a problem. And, you know, so in this new stream, I'm going to admit, well, you know, right now I love my career, but I'm going to wind my career down and hopefully retire. And in time for me to retire, they'll invent a self-driving RV. And, you know, it'd be nice to have some sort of side income when you have a fixed income and you're retired. And, you know, it would be great to have a streaming income, you know, make $15,000 or $20,000 a year or something. Right now, that wouldn't really you know, it wouldn't really be good enough. So even if I wanted to do that, which I don't, I love being a logician and working with computers, writing logical statements that turn into software that behaves a certain way. I love that. And but even if I wanted to be a talking head and then whore myself out to the opinions that made my channel profitable enough to live off of, I would have to be pretty successful to make as much as I do with what I'm good at. So I feel like I'm just going to be open about it, though, because I'm not saying I'm above anything. I'm just saying this is the way I like to do it. And but I'm going to give in a little bit to Hythloday, who this is a online friend in the discussion, who decided life wasn't really worth it, and he offed himself. So what are those kinds of things? Well, I'll look at the comments in a minute. I brought up the YouTube live stream, which shows the Twitch stream. When I put chat in the Streamlabs client, it shows up in Twitch, because that's the surprise. It won't do both of those. So anyway, what I wrote down on here, I would say, well, ideas I've collected, because like I said, I'm an idea collector. I could tell you other people's ideas. It's a skeptic tradition. Sextus Empiricus, who is a skeptic, you know, he wrote down a lot of what we know about the Epicureans and the Stoics and stuff, because we like doing it. We like learning a philosophy that we don't believe, that somebody else believes well enough to write down, here's what the Stoicism is, and a Stoic would go, well done. Yes, that's what I believe. We don't like slurring them or making them look worse. We believe everything can look good. And in the end, you can have two good things. Vanilla and strawberry and chocolate ice cream. Not everybody likes all three of those, but they're all great. Then there's ideas I have, things, you know, nobody else seems to have figured it out. Now, those are some of the amazing things. And in software, I have some ideas that are world class, and that if you had them, you could also make a decent living. And you don't have to be a software engineer to appreciate some of those ideas, because they're really just logical structures that they're not just about software. Software is about modeling anything. Like, the reason you can make software for a business is because any business can be modeled in the software computer model, but it's not perfect, because computers can only model things that can be turned into integers, right? Even a floating point number is modeled as an integer, or a list of integers, and a certain number of integers. You want to make the Sims, and some of the little Sims can fall in love, well then the amount of love has to be an integer. And you could have like 3 integers, and your love is a color, but it's still going to be a limited, finite number of integers have to represent that. And that's one part of the trick of programming. The other part of the trick is then, once you have mapped those things into integers, creating a system of calculations to, to use those numbers. I don't want to get into that in this video, but I will say the main thing about computer programming is you learn what computers can do. It's only a few things, really. You pretend to be the computer, and then you think about what you want the computer to do, and then you try to do it as the computer. That's the basic trick. Now, maybe the most Hythloday principle part of this is this one here. Ideas that hold people back. There's so many ideas. And some of them I've tolerated, and I'm learning to not tolerate so much anymore. I've always been fascinated by conspiracy theories, and good for you, or have your own theory of science. And I still, basically believe that. But I'm getting a little pissed off at people. Just the entitlement of thinking that they could have those opinions, and it's not about evidence. And this way of thinking holds people back. And examples would definitely be a lot more, but including, the black and white thinking. People know that black and white isn't good enough, but they still apply it. They still apply it. And it's just so annoying, because if you say, hey, that's black and white thinking, let me argue to you why you shouldn't do black and white thinking, and they'll be like, I agree, no black and white thinking, but, Or another example is online. We have at least, like I said, there was 190, let's say, people that I know of, not exactly my subscribers, but people that have subscribed or taken part, and I've subscribed and taken part in theirs in this community. And I know, a dozen or so, and some of these are, people that severely disagree with me, but I could see they're a part of this community of people that want to be a part of this public dialogue kind of thing. And when you, and I think I've always been civil, but a lot of them think, and they've been rude to me or whatever, and they're hateful or angry at me, and I think I've been civil. They think I started it or whatever. And what that, I think, usually goes back to, I have trouble tracing which moment it happened at, but it's like they'll have said their idea, and I made some critique of it, I didn't like it, and they took it personal. It's like if you brought cookies to a potluck, and people are going, oh, this cookie's crap. They would take it personal, like you were saying they are crap. And it's like, no, dude, maybe the cookie's crap, I don't like chocolate. And if I'm an asshole, and I might say, there's too much butter, there's too much this, but, well, that would make me an asshole, because if you don't like a cookie, leave it for someone else. Other people like all kinds of crazy things. I, for example, like mayonnaise. I objectively recognize how gross that is. And anybody that didn't grow up or fall in love, somebody that didn't like it, yeah, I get it. And that's how it is for everybody. Everybody has stuff like that. So there is no limit to if somebody made a nice cookie or not. If you don't like it, you shouldn't be an asshole about it. But also, if somebody doesn't like your cookie, you shouldn't assume they're saying they don't like you, right? That does not follow. And these kinds of ideas hold people back. Black and white thinking as well, which that's related to. Oops, do I have a pen problem? There we go. Bad metaphors, right? Like bad metaphors. Like the idea that the nation is a family. That's a terrible metaphor, liberal or conservative. So those are the kinds of things I might do that I'm thinking about. Um, let's see what comments we have now. I have the Discord stuff up, but I'm not. I guess I could broadcast the. Well, I mean, I guess it's showing up on the various channels anyway. If you're Twitch, you see the Twitch ones. Yeah. So no Twitch because nobody at Twitch is. Nobody knows me at Twitch. Um, all right, over here at YouTube. Most people want to watch cat videos, not trying to understand life. I mean, I'm pretty big on yeah, cat videos. I'm a big funny duck fan. Um, Dynacat loves me. Why aren't you monetized? I mean, it looks like you are eligible, not that I ever approve of it. Well, if you're still here, Dynacat loves me, or if you're not, I think I just explained that. I just turned down monetization. I didn't want to be monetized. I knew that if I tried to be monetized, it would never be very much money, and then you were trying to produce the content. And I think, like, an example of a good reason to monetize is there's this channel I watch, That Chapter. He wants to have a program, and he edits and clips, and they produce a program, and they might want to do one thing and then do another and experiment with what's going to be, and that's fine. That's like professional. But if we want to, and Dynacat loves me, if I didn't mention you, I was thinking of you before the video as an example of these couple dozen people I know for a fact are here that want to have part in this conversation. Don't all agree, but like to have the conversation. And I'm not surprised to see that you're the kind of person that thinks that monetization doesn't really help the conversation. And I am open now. Like, I'm going to put on the Twitch. Twitch, they can give you the bits. I don't know how that works or how you can get money out of that. And but I'm thinking I'll open a Patreon, and the still thing is, like, I'm going to have an unmonetized video that whatever, prove me wrong. And really, it's just so that I can take part in this medium the way that it's developed. And if I can push it back into non-monetized, I mean, my idea is I would still like a conversation site that had text and video reply, kind of like the original YouTube. And, and some more tools to structure it and keep track of things, and video conversation threads and charts and stuff. That would be all fun to up the level on that. And it would be non-monetized because the people that wanted to take part regularly, like maybe you get one video a week for free, but because it costs money to do well, actually, I've designed ways where it wouldn't really cost money to do the video, because you put the videos up on your own Google Drive, and it just streams through the service. And the point is, for the part of the website that needs money to survive, some people would just pay for that privilege and pay for some premium or storage or whatever, just enough to keep that going. That would be a not-for-profit, and it would be our public dialogue society situation. And but we're not having that now, and yet this is still my hobby. I want to get my message out. I mean, a part of it I haven't talked about is, no doubt, like everybody else, I want to get my statements on the record. I'm going to die. I'd like them to be imprinted on the internet. I would love the idea that they're going to be stored forever for people to ignore until some grad student comes through and finds out, you and me and, I don't know, Barklord arguing about something in 2010 of only minor interest. But there's a societal continuity. So, and my enjoyment is taking part in it while it happens. Synchronium 24 says Neapolitan. So, I guess that's a ice cream. Yeah, Neapolitan, but I would eat the vanilla and the chocolate, not the strawberry. But I appreciate the strawberry ice cream. I just don't personally like it. But for example, it's funny because now I like fruit sorbets. I don't really like fruit ice cream. But if you gave me a peach ice cream or a strawberry ice cream, 3 samples, I could still tell you which one was best, even though I'm not that big of a fan of it. Though peach ice cream is sort of blends, it's pretty good. But like a lemon or any other fruit flavor of ice cream, I just want a sorbet. All right, Synchronium says, Maya Higa said a similar thing about QAnon followers recently. They're flexing their narcissism. Well, the QAnon is a thing I've been watching. The whole idea of the stream, too, is partially to take advantage of how the Twitch medium's working. And I watch the QAnon Anonymous podcast. I'm reading a ton of the... what's it called? QAnon casualties of people losing family members to QAnon, and Cult Headquarters, which covers it, and Parler Watch, which covers Parler and Telegram and those kinds of things. And I'd like to share some of that. I mean, some of that time I already spend, I could spend in a stream and maybe get live feedback on it, which would be interesting. So I've been thinking about that and other things that I've been watching. I go through trends of where I watch certain kinds of content, and I'll watch a bunch of it, and then I'll settle down to just 1 or 2 people in that genre. So like I started watching a lot of, over the years I've watched a lot of this First Amendment auditing kind of stuff. It's interesting, and the sovereign citizens and stuff. And you'll watch a bunch, and then you end up with a few that you watch and kind of track that community. Because if you follow 1 or 2 people, if they're the right people, they don't have to have a lot of followers themselves, but if they're the ones following their community, you can get condensed information about that community without literally having to be a part of the community, which is very difficult. Dynacat loves me. Okay, for too long we've encouraged people to think outside the box. Trouble is, that's only good if you really know what's in the box first. What's in the box doesn't ever get invalidated. Dynacat loves you. I totally agree with that. There's a lot of things. This is the thing about the conspiracy stuff. And in the past, I've thought, it's people that love conspiracy theories, it would be nice if they'd learn the actual conspiracies that were discovered and factually known. And but basically, it is true what's in and out of the box. And for example, I have criticisms of classical logic, but we've based a lot of good stuff on classical logic, and we have to keep that stuff with a good foundation. We can improve it for the future and whatnot, but I think it's a good example of you should know what's in the box. And I often presented what was in the box and my disagreement with it. And it's really because we're not invalidating what works. It's a lot like with Newtonian mechanics and relativistic mechanics. You don't actually invalidate Newtonian mechanics because you add a detail. Like in a sophisticated or important case, that's actually always the case, but usually you can ignore it, and the approximation is very good. It simplifies things so much. Okay, do that. But we've added a detail. And that's usually what has to happen. And this thinking outside the box, it's like when you should not just trust experts. You should get a second expert, or third, or fourth, or fifth. And you should do that not just when you disagree with the expert's advice, but when you agree with it, because there's confirmation bias. So you get 2, 3, 4. And then when you go to organizations like the CDC or the American Medical Association, then you have thousands of those opinions. Now, those 1,000 opinions could be wrong. We know many times where they're wrong because they get right better. All the psychologists say, oh, it's a mental illness, this, and they find no, that wasn't a mental illness. But what people forget is at that time, those prejudices that maybe led even the scientists to think something was a fact that wasn't, the regular people had those biases too, and were even worse. And so scientists and the experts can at least be held accountable. They don't always do this, but you can hold them accountable in the long run to improving, and by proving and having the receipts for what they believe, so that it improves. And if you don't like one doctor's opinion, or you don't like one expert's opinion on climate change, or not you, obviously, personally, I'm talking in general, obviously, but uh, that doesn't make you an expert. If I don't like that, if I don't like a doctor's opinion, and that has happened in my life, that doesn't make me a doctor. I can go to another doctor and another doctor and another doctor. I can take all of their advice together, and I can still not like it. I had an elderly relative. They just decided, you know what, we're never going in the ambulance again. I knew my great aunt, she could have had a pacemaker, would have extended her life. She didn't want to go through that for her. All the doctors said, just go get a pacemaker. It's an hour away. And she's like, I want to die at home, not in a hospital. I don't want to spend my last couple years fighting my inevitable death. You know, I'm 90. That's going to be fine. I would like to just go about my life, and then, that was. So she went against the experts, not because she said they were wrong, but she said there was an aspect of this that was more important to her than staying alive, and their expertise was based on just keeping her alive, even if it was something, turns out to be unacceptable for her. All right, so how long was this? 42 minutes, and I think this has worked relatively well. I don't know what you do to attract Twitch stuff. I guess, I put my Twitch account in the comments and stuff, but yeah, there's no reason to go over there. That's the whole point of me broadcasting both places. I only have a couple channels. I finally, like the Q Anonymous podcast is over there, so I think that's one of the main reasons I went over there. I had another YouTuber that had a stream they only did over there, and so I went over there, and I still only have a couple. I'm not advocating it. As a matter of fact, I would be advocating that we need a platform for this kind of communication. But I'm not willing to give up whatever the state of the internet is, even if it's a barren desert for some weird reason, for this activity that was always like the original purpose of the internet and Usenet and everything. Then we'll do it. The text stuff has come back through Reddit, but we also have the rest of this. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for attending 2.0 of this. And, oh, I see Twitch still says, how do I change the Twitch name? Okay, so that's where this is still an experiment. Stream 0.1, it says. Oh, not important, though. All right, cheers.